Hello everyone, welcome back. It's been a little while, hasn't it? I've not been making videos much just lately. I've been very busy buying a lot of things. I've bought a new daily driver, bought a caravan, and I've been to Santapod with a Mini. I'll stick a few clips in, not last weekend, weekend before, maybe a couple of weekends ago. I went to meet up with Kev from the Gentleman's Motor Racing team, and we had a little bit of a battle at Santapod, which was good fun. I'll show you in a sec, I bought some 13-inch wheels with some slick tyres on, which were fantastic on the track, but slowed me down a little bit. So down at the back there somewhere, I've got another gearbox. I don't know if you can quite see it. I bought another gearbox with a closer ratio to put in the Mini, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to swap the gearbox because I'm running out of time really. I'll talk to you a little bit while I start dismantling things. So we've got to get the gearbox out of here. I need to get the front end off, get the gearbox out. So the gearbox in the car now is a F15 out of a mid-90s Corsa or Tigra. It's got a 3.5:1 final drive ratio, and it's a wide ratio gearbox. So the problem I had in the quarter mile with the bigger 13-inch wheels, which I shall show you in a little while, was that they were the diameter's bigger, so it slowed me down a little bit. My fastest time at Santapod last time was 16.1, whereas my previous best at Street Weekend was a 15.9. So I'm a couple of tenths off my best. And something I noticed, that when I crossed the line on the quarter mile at Santapod last time, I was at the very top of third gear, perhaps just changing into fourth, which is where I was at in the 8th mile at Melbourne on 10-inch wheels. So I've got a bit of a difference. So I'm going to swap the gearbox to a close ratio 3.9:1 final drive, and then back at Santapod next Saturday, and we'll see what difference that makes, and then we can make any changes from there. It's beginning to be a familiar sight, isn't it? So that's the front end off. I need to drain the cooling system, take that lower mount off down there, get the radiator off, header tank off, split the top ball joint there and the track rod end so I can lean that back when I pop the shaft out. Same that side. I'm going to try and undo the gear selector from down there, down the back, and leave the selector mechanism connected to the rod, but just try and disconnect the selector from the gearbox. And then I've got to disconnect the clutch fluid line. So this is how things are looking at the moment. There's a lot of overspray from when I repainted the front. That's something else I didn't tell you about, was I repainted the front end. Yeah, so I've also got to take that brace bar off that side as well, but I'll continue. That last bit's always a bit of a battle, but there we go. That's taken me about an hour and a half, I would say, to get the gearbox out there. Gearbox is on the floor, down there. There's my slicks. Here we go. So that's the F15 wide ratio 3.5 final drive. Now we have down here an F13 close ratio 3.9 final drive, and then down here we've got another F13. That one is a wide ratio 3.7 final drive. So that's the one that's going in the car. I've got to swap over the clutch slave cylinder and just give it a bit of an eyeball, and then it's got to go in the car. Just sat on the floor here, swapping the slave cylinder around in the gearbox from the one that's come out of the Mini into the one that's going in the Mini. I'll notice something. So for quite some time I've been chasing oil leaks. I changed the rear crank seal and resealed the sump and did a fair bit and improved most of it, but not all of it. I've replumbed the breather, that improved it a bit. So I think I've stopped the engine leaking, but I was still getting some oil on the floor. Let me show you something. Check this out. So I've just fitted this release bearing to here, and what I noticed when I took it off the old gearbox versus putting it onto this one, obviously this is an oily mess. There's a little groove here, meant to be an O-ring saying there. There wasn't. There was no O-ring in this one, so it seems I forgot to put an O-ring in. So a lot of this oil is gearbox oil. So I've just stuck my finger in it and smelt it, and yes, it's gearbox oil, not engine oil. So I've got the other gearbox in. Drive shafts are in. I've got to put that hub back together yet. Got the gear linkage on, mounts on. I'm just connected the clutch line, and I've got a steady drip of clutch fluid coming out. So there's something wrong with that concentric slave cylinder. So I'm going to have to take the gearbox off again. I'm going to have a little poke around there, see if I can see if that connection's made right to the pipe. Fingers crossed. A little bit of good news. I didn't have to take the gearbox back out, so I'll show you what I did. So there's a little seal where that bit clips on there. I had that in pieces, and that seal had come dislodged. So the fluid was just running straight down inside the bell housing, all the way down into a pile on the floor. So I put that seal back and started bleeding it. It's a bit of a pain to bleed, so I'm going to call it a day today. Let it sit overnight. Normally it can gravity bleed a little bit, and then once I've got the wheels on the floor, I'll get the back end of the car up and I'll have a bit more success at bleeding it because of the way the master cylinder is mounted. So that'll do for today. Gearbox is in, shafts are in, everything's connected. Just need to build up the radiator in the front end. Now, a couple of days after we last spoke, where did I leave things last time? Gearbox is in, bolted, mounted, sorted the fluid leak from the slave cylinder. I've got the coolant reservoir remounted. I need to put some oil in the gearbox, get the radiator back on, put that hub back together, drive shaft in, and then put the wheels on and start putting the front back together, I think. Not a lot left to do, really. Then I can get the wheels back on the floor, and then I want to jack the back end up to try and help bleed the clutch because there's a little bit of air trapped in the master cylinder.
So high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
That's things bolted back together for now. The gearbox is in, filled up with coolant, front end's on. I've got to just do the bolts up down there. I've got to put some gearbox oil in the gearbox. I ain't got any, so I've got to get some tomorrow. Then I can put the air filter on, bonnet on, and we can go for a test drive. Although I still need to bleed the clutch properly. It's a little bit of a pain because of how I've got the master cylinder mounted, but we'll get there. So tomorrow I'll get some gearbox oil, which will be in the next clip for you, and then we'll finish it off. I've bought the gearbox oil today, put it in the car. This was the gearbox oil. So the gearbox oil is ready to go. I'm just going to bleed the clutch today. Today is Wednesday. So if I can get the clutch bled tonight, I can get it test driven tomorrow night, which is Thursday, and then Friday it can get loaded up on the trailer for an early departure for Santa Pod on Saturday. So better get stuck into bleeding the clutch. So I've got the clutch bled now. It's quite late. It's nearly 11 o'clock. So clutch is bled, ready for the morning to go outside. Just put a torque wrench on the wheel nuts. I've got the bolts to tighten up on the brace bar this side, and then on the fiberglass this side. Put a torque wrench on the wheel nuts, and then I can go for a test drive. So we'll see you tomorrow. So I got the test drive done earlier on today. It's Thursday now. All good. Biggest difference was fifth gear at 70 mile an hour. I was at 3,500 RPM. I'm now at 4,400 RPM. So that's quite a significant difference. So when these slicks are on the car, the 13-inch, they're a 200 by 540 by 13 slick. That should be a lot better. and the gears were a lot shorter and felt quite nippy as well. So I'm really looking forward to getting to Santa Pod on Saturday, see what we run. Previous best was 15.99. Let's see if I can get a little bit deeper into the 15s.
So high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
I'm in the bearing lanes, and behind me is Kev from the Gentleman's Motor Racing team. There. And on my mirror it says, "Objects in mirror just got chopped." Certainly did, Kev. Anyway, that was a couple of runs ago, so we're moving on now.